Hi there, I'm Daniel Lader, founder of Lader CPA and Associates, and welcome back to our Instagram Live series where we are talking about building a successful private practice from beginning to infinity. Now, as a kid, I wanted to be a superhero. Now I have a therapist and an accountant, so I guess I saved myself, emotionally and financially. Okay, so this week the topic we're going to be talking about is deducting your continuing education expenses in your business. So, first off, why does this matter? Your continuing education expenses, as you know, are often required to maintain your licenses, and it's also a nice tax deduction you can use. When you are properly deducting your expenses, this helps reduce your taxable When you are properly deducting your continuing education expenses, this helps reduce your taxable income, which helps to increase your business's cash flow. All right, so what qualifies as a deductible education expense? Things like courses, workshops, seminars, anything to maintain or improve your skills required in your profession. Required CEs for maintaining a license or certificate. Those are required. Your LCSWs, your LMFTs, your LPCs, all of those require education. All of those have education requirements. So those are deductible. Those courses are deductible expenses. Also, any travel expenses related to your education, as long as the primary purpose of the travel is the education. So if you're traveling to a seminar or a conference, that can be included. Also, professional subscriptions and materials related to your continuing education. That's in there too. Now, what does not qualify? Education that qualifies you into a new profession. Are you training to become a yoga instructor? Are you training to become a real estate agent? Those don't count. You can't include those. Any personal development courses, those are also unrelated to your current when they're unrelated to your current practice. You're taking a pottery class at the community college. No, that's not deductible, unfortunately. Also, any courses that you may have taken before you launched your private practice are not deductible. Although those might be included as a startup cost, talk with your tax advisor, see what they tell you. Now, how do you track and document all these expenses? Well, if you've been with us for a while, you know that way back I recommended having bookkeeping software. Xero, QuickBooks, Fresh, Wave, something to track your expenses. That's the first step, of course, tracking those expenses in your software. However, you'll also want to keep your receipts and your course descriptions that were showing the topics are relevant to your business. Maintain your proofs of payments and attendance, and also track your travel expenses separately with notes on the business purpose. All of this is so that later when your CPA or tax preparer is working on your stuff and they look over your records, they're not confused and they don't have to come back and ask you later what the heck this $5,000 expense to some seminar was for. Now, we talked about deducting continuing education expenses. As a private practice owner, you're thinking about your own expenses. However, you can also think about your employees' continuing education expenses. If your practice is paying for your employees' CEs, then that is also deductible as an employee education benefit. It must relate to their current job, same rules as before. We don't want to train yoga instructors or real estate agents, and it can't be a path into a new type of role for them. Basically, you're training them to be better at what they're doing now. You have two ways that you can include those kinds of expenses. The first way, and by far the least preferable way, is reimbursements to your employees for their expenses they already paid. In order to do it that way, you need to have an accountable plan set up that basically lays out the rules for reimbursements for them, and you are not And if you are not using an accountable plan, it actually, and you do reimburse them, it actually does create additional taxable income to them, to the employee. So that's the more complicated way, reimbursements with an accountable plan. The easier way, by far, is for your practice to pay those expenses directly. You want to send some of your therapists to a conference or seminar, business pays, you send them, they don't pay a dime, there's no reimbursements. That is by far the easier way to include education expenses for the business. Now there's a couple other things that are worth knowing about. We've talked about continuing education, but what about education? You know, a lot of your therapists, maybe all of your therapists, went to college or university. So there's another item I love to talk about. This isn't talked about enough, but it's a great tax strategy. You have the option as the employer to provide tax-free tuition reimbursements to your employees. This is the Internal Revenue Code Section 127, and it lets an employer provide education assistance through an accountable plan, but provide education assistance to its employees up to $5,250 every year. Now, this benefit to your employees, it's tax-free to them. This doesn't increase their tax liability, but on the employer side, your side, it's still a tax-deductible expense you've paid. Now, the types of expenses the types of benefits that can be included in this is reimbursements for tuition, fees, books, supplies, and this is a change from the new tax law that just passed, a permanent change. You can also include principal and interest payments to student loan debt. I bet that would be exciting to a lot of your therapists who recently graduated, are not going back to school, but are saddled with those student loan debts. That's a way you can benefit them. Now, these tax-free benefits, they're not included as taxable income on the employee's W-2, and anything above $5,250 that you pay or reimburse, that extra amount does become taxable. So you got to be aware of that limitation there. And the employer, you, the practice, you need to maintain a formal written plan that spells out those rules about the Section 127 tuition reimbursement. You'll need to get help with setting up that plan properly. But once it's set up, you don't have a whole lot of issues. You will not have too many difficulties administering that plan, as long as everyone knows the rules. Now, to close off, I have a few final tips that I want to give you that are going to help you keep things straight. First off, the best practice, pay education expenses directly through the business. This avoids a lot of difficulties with the accountable reimbursement plan, with giving reimbursements to your employees, with record keeping and all that kind of stuff. Just pay directly through the business when you're able to. If you are reimbursing your employees, make sure you do have that reimbursement plan set up, an accountable plan set up. You need to, all the expenses need to have a business connection. The employees need to provide you with the documentations like the receipts, the course descriptions, etc. And any excess reimbursements need to be returned to your business, or they can become taxable to the employee. It gets really confusing. So accountable reimbursement plan, second option, by far the least attractive option. Paying directly through your business, much better, much easier. Now following these steps will help keep those deductions nice and clean and avoid creating unintendable taxable income to your employees or even yourself. Now, if you have any questions about what we talked about, go ahead and comment on this video, DM me if you want to, and I'll respond when I'm able to. Also, if you would like to have a free 30-minute discovery call with myself or someone at my firm, go ahead and DM me. I'll send you a link to put something on my calendar, and we can have that call with you to look at your business's tax strategies and what we can do to help you improve them. Follow and subscribe to us for any future tax tips or events like this one, and visit our website, latercpa.com. I will see you all on the next video. Have a great 4th of July weekend, and keep helping others to help themselves. Bye-bye.